Something is changing in Hudson. The quiet rhythm of life on the ranch is about to be shaken, and every fan of Heartland can feel it coming. In the distance, you can almost hear the sound of horses running, not in peace, but in warning. Season 19, Episode 6 isn't just another chapter. It's the calm before the storm that could test every bond the Flemings hold dear. The last episode left fans speechless. Amy stood at a crossroads, torn between her love for the ranch and the desire to chase something beyond the fields of Heartland. The look in her eyes said it all. She's ready to move forward, but the weight of her past keeps her steps uncertain. After years of healing, Episode 5 reminded us that even the strongest hearts can falter when faced with memories that never truly fade. Lou, on the other hand, found herself trapped between leadership and loneliness. As mayor, her choices affect everyone, but lately, her decisions have started to build walls instead of bridges. Her struggles to balance duty with emotion showed the human side behind the confident smile. For the first time in a while, fans saw Lou vulnerable, questioning herself, her purpose, and the direction of her family's legacy. Meanwhile, Jack carried the silent pain that comes with being the heart of the family. His steady voice and quiet strength have always been the glue holding everyone together. But there's something in his tone now, something tired, something worried. He knows change is coming, and no matter how hard he tries, he can't stop it. The old cowboy who has seen it all might soon face the one thing he never wanted, letting go. And then there's Katie, growing up faster than anyone expected. Her story in the last episode reminded viewers that even in Heartland, the new generation faces battles of their own. Her friendship troubles, her small rebellions, and her dreams of independence are all echoes of the same theme: learning who you are while living under the weight of a name that means so much. Episode 5 didn't end with answers. It ended with questions. What will Amy do next? Can Lou fix the damage her choices have caused? And will Jack's faith in his family be enough to keep them all together? These moments weren't just filler, they were warnings, quiet whispers of the emotional storm that Episode 6 is about to bring. The beauty of Heartland has always been its honesty. It doesn't need explosions or flashy scenes. It moves hearts with small gestures: a glance, a word left unsaid, a hug that comes too late. And that's what makes Episode 6 so anticipated. Because when things finally break, they won't just shatter. They'll reveal what's truly been hidden beneath the calm smiles and morning rides. The sun rises over Heartland, painting the ranch in soft gold. But beneath that beauty, there's an uneasy silence. It's the kind of stillness that comes before something big happens, the kind that makes every character hold their breath without knowing why. In Episode 6, that feeling is everywhere. The laughter sounds a little forced. The smiles don't reach their eyes. And even the horses seem to sense that something is shifting. Amy stands by the paddock, brushing Spartan, her oldest friend and quietest confidant. Her movements are steady, but her mind isn't. She's been dreaming lately of wide-open places, of faces she can't forget, and of paths she's too afraid to take. The ranch has always been her home, yet for the first time, she's wondering if home can also be a cage. The trailer's few seconds of her watching the horizon say more than any words could. Fans know that look. It's the same one she had before every major change in her life. Lou's storyline is about to reach a breaking point. Her role as mayor has never been harder. The town she's sworn to protect is beginning to lose faith, and her decisions are sparking quiet tension even within her own family. In the teaser, there's a moment, just a flicker, where she sits alone in her office, papers scattered around, her phone ringing unanswered. It's not just politics anymore. It's personal. She's fighting to prove she hasn't lost touch with who she really is. Then there's Jack, the heart of Heartland, the man who never gives up on family, no matter how rough the road gets. But in Episode 6, he seems older, slower, and more thoughtful. The trailer shows him looking through an old photo album, his weathered hands tracing faces long gone. There's a heaviness in his silence, a sense that he's preparing for something he can't stop. Maybe he knows that every generation has to face its own storms, and his time to protect might finally be ending. And in the middle of all of this stands Katie, caught between childhood and the weight of growing up too soon. She feels invisible, in a house full of adults trying to keep everything from falling apart. Yet, in one quick shot, We see her riding alone across the fields, hair flying in the wind, a spark of freedom in her eyes. She might be the key to what's coming next, a reminder that change isn't always loss. Sometimes it's the start of something new. As the trailer fades, one line from Amy echoes in the background. Sometimes, holding on does more harm than letting go. It's soft, almost lost in the sound of the wind, but it lands like a promise. Episode 6 is about choices, the ones we make, the ones we avoid, and the ones that shape who we become. And when that episode airs, every moment will remind us that even in the heart of the Heartland, peace is never simple. Episode 6 doesn't explode with drama right away. It creeps in like a shadow stretching across the land. The calm, open skies of Heartland begin to feel smaller, heavier, as if the air itself knows what's coming. Every conversation feels loaded with something unsaid. Every glance between the characters tells a story too fragile to speak aloud. This episode isn't about fights or loud confessions. It's about the storm that brews inside people when they start to question what truly matters. Amy's world, once steady and full of purpose, begins to shift beneath her feet. Her bond with the horses has always guided her through pain, but now even that connection feels uncertain. There's a quiet moment in the trailer, Amy standing in the barn, running her hand down a horse's neck, her voice trembling as she says, "I don't know if I can fix this anymore." It's not just about the horse. It's about her life, about her fear that she's been holding everything together while slowly falling apart herself. This is Amy like we've never seen her, not strong and certain, but human, exhausted, and real. Lou faces her own reflection too, and it's not one she's proud of. For years, she's built walls made of responsibility and perfection, but in this episode, those walls start to crack. A scene shows her standing on the balcony, looking out over Hudson, the wind tugging at her hair. Her voice is low, almost broken, when she says, "What if I've lost them, all of them?" It's a line that might haunt fans long after the credits roll, because Lou's strength has always come from her family, and the idea of losing that even emotionally cuts deep. Jack, ever the anchor, finds himself in a quiet war between holding on and letting go. His wisdom, once unshakable, begins to sound like someone trying to convince himself that everything will be fine. The trailer flashes a scene of him sitting by the fire, holding a letter in his hand, his eyes wet with unspoken memories. We don't see what the letter says, but the pain in his face tells us it's something from the past, something that might change the family's future. And then there's Katie, the heart of youth and rebellion. While the adults are lost in their own struggles, she's out there chasing freedom. Her riding scenes in the trailer aren't just beautiful, they're symbolic. She rides fast, without fear, cutting through the same fields her mother once did. It's like she's carrying the torch, reminding everyone that no matter how heavy life gets, the spirit of Heartland still runs wild. This episode feels different because it's not just about what happens, it's about what's breaking inside each person. The silence, the hesitation, the tears that fall when no one's watching. That's the real storm. Heartland has always shown us that family is messy, healing is painful, and love never stays the same. But episode 6 promises to go deeper, to show that sometimes growth means allowing the cracks to show, and that the hardest thing isn't losing something, it's learning to move forward without it. The storm inside each character finally begins to spill into the open. Episode 6 isn't just building emotion, it's about release, the moment when silence can't hold back truth anymore. The trailer hints at that shift. The tone is raw, almost trembling, as if the land itself is bracing for what's coming. There's a feeling that the ranch displays that has held generations together might be standing at the edge of change once again. Amy's story takes the first turn. For so long, she's been the heart of healing, fixing what others broke, mending what life shattered. But now, it's her who needs saving. There's a moment where she walks into the open fields at dawn, the wind pushing against her as if daring her to move forward. Her face says it all, the strength is still there, but this time it's softer, wiser. She's beginning to understand that healing isn't about holding on to everything. It's about knowing when to let go. And that moment might just redefine her entire journey. Lou's battle hits its peak too. The burden of being strong for everyone finally catches up with her. In one gripping shot, she slams a drawer shut, papers flying across the room. It's not anger, it's desperation. She's been trying to hold a world together that doesn't want to stay still. But right after that, we see her sitting with Jack, their hands clasped across the table, her eyes filled with tears. Maybe, just maybe, she's realizing that being a leader doesn't mean standing alone. Jack's scenes in the trailer are few but unforgettable. His voice carries the weight of every season that came before. "You can't stop time," he says quietly, looking toward the distant hills. "You can only make peace with it." That single line sums up everything Heartland stands for. It's about family, love, and the quiet courage it takes to face change with grace. He's not the hero charging into battle, he's the soul of the story, reminding everyone that strength sometimes looks like surrender. And then there's Katie, galloping through the wide-open fields like a spark in the dark. Her freedom is the perfect contrast to the heavy emotions surrounding the adults. She's the future untamed, fearless, full of hope. In that single moment of her ride, the music swells, and for a second, the pain, the doubt, the fear, it all fades. What's left is the truth Heartland has always carried, that no matter how hard life gets, there's always light on the horizon. The trailer closes with Amy's voice, soft but steady, saying, "Maybe the hardest thing isn't losing what we love, it's learning to live without it." As her words fade, the screen goes black, and the familiar Heartland theme begins to rise. Viewers are left with chills, not from sadness, but from the promise that episode 6 will remind them why this show still matters after all these years. Because in Heartland, storms never destroy, they reveal who we truly are. When the dust settles, Heartland doesn't return to silence, it breathes. Episode 6 isn't about chaos or endings. It's about what remains when the noise fades. The ranch looks the same, the mountains stand unchanged, but something in the air feels different. This episode marks that delicate space between pain and peace, where the characters stop fighting what life has taken and start understanding what it's given back. Amy's transformation feels like sunrise after a long night. She's been chasing answers in every corner of the ranch, trying to make sense of everything that slipped through her fingers. But by the end of this episode, there's a new calm in her. The scene of her walking through the stables, sunlight filtering through the cracks, carries a quiet message. She's not running anymore. She's learning to listen again, to trust herself the way she once trusted the horses. Fans who followed Amy's story since the beginning will recognize this moment as one of growth, not loss. It's the rebirth of her spirit, gentle, strong, and steady. Lou's storyline finds its heartbeat again too. After episodes of doubt and distance, she begins to see the bigger picture, that leadership isn't about perfection, it's about presence. The trailer hints at a scene between Lou and Amy on the porch, their voices low, their laughter hesitant but real. That moment is more powerful than any speech. It shows that the sisters are finding their way back to each other. One word, one truth, one shared smile at a time. Heartland has always been about the unspoken, and this scene proves that love doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes it just needs time to heal. Jack's quiet wisdom anchors the whole episode. His words are few, but they echo long after they're spoken. When he says, "You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your reins," it feels like he's speaking to every character and every viewer. Jack represents the soul of Heartland, the reminder that life's hardships aren't walls, they're crossroads. His stillness, his acceptance, becomes the emotional heartbeat of episode 6. Showing that even the strongest hearts must learn to let go. Katie, the youngest Fleming, stills hearts in a way that only she can. She doesn't give speeches or solve problems, she just lives. The shot of her feeding a horse in silence, with the golden light touching her face, carries more meaning than words ever could. She's the future of Heartland, the bridge between old wounds and new beginnings. Her innocence, mixed with growing maturity, reminds viewers that hope is never lost, it just changes shape. The final moments of the episode are pure emotion. Amy looks toward the sunset, her voice soft but full of strength. "Maybe everything we've lost is just making room for what's next," she says. That line doesn't feel like an ending, it feels like a promise. A promise that the journey isn't over, that the heart of Heartland will keep beating. No matter how many storms come and go. As the screen fades to black and the familiar melody begins, Fans will feel that pull, that deep, nostalgic warmth only Heartland can bring. Episode 6 isn't just a continuation. It's a renewal. It reminds us why we keep coming back, season after season, not for the perfect moments, but for the real ones. The ones that make us feel alive. The storm has passed. But Heartland doesn't end in silence, it ends in reflection. Episode 6 closes with that rare kind of peace that only comes after you've faced everything you've been running from. The ranch feels alive again, not because the pain is gone, but because everyone has learned to carry it differently. That's the magic of this series. It doesn't erase heartbreak. It transforms it into strength. Amy stands outside as twilight settles over the fields. The sky burns with orange and violet, the kind of beauty that only Heartland can capture. She takes a slow breath, her eyes soft but steady, and for the first time in a long while, she isn't looking back. She's looking forward. This isn't the same woman who broke under the weight of loss. This is someone reborn through it. The trailer's last shot lingers on her face, just long enough to make you feel every memory she's carried and every dream she's still brave enough to chase. Lou's story finds a quieter resolution. She finally lets go of control and allows herself to simply be. In the teaser, there's a glimpse of her sitting with her family at the dinner table, laughter echoing, candles flickering, the warmth of belonging filling the room. It's the kind of moment that Heartland does best: small, honest, and powerful. It reminds us that healing doesn't always come with big speeches or dramatic endings. Sometimes it's just a shared meal, a glance of understanding, a reminder that love still lives here. Jack watches them from his chair, that proud, weathered smile spreading across his face. He doesn't say a word, but he doesn't need to. His silence speaks louder than dialogue ever could. He's seen this family bend, break, and rebuild itself again. And now, watching them laugh under the same roof, you can almost feel what he's thinking, that maybe, just maybe, everything turned out the way it was meant to. Katie, full of youth and light, runs outside as the screen darkens. Her laughter drifts in the wind, fading into the sound of hooves against dirt. The horses run free across the plains, the sky wide and endless above them. It's a closing image that captures everything Heartland stands for: freedom, family, and the beauty of never giving up. As Amy's voice returns one last time, she whispers, "The heart never forgets where it belongs." The music swells, soft and emotional, carrying that line into the air like a promise. Fans will feel it, that familiar ache, that quiet smile, that sense that something deep inside them has been touched once again. Episode 6 doesn't just prepare us for what's next. It reminds us why we're still here, following these lives, feeling these stories, growing with these characters. The trailer leaves a question hanging in the air: what comes after peace? And if we know Heartland, the answer will be something beautiful, something real, and something worth waiting for. Because Heartland isn't just a show, it's a feeling that stays long after the screen fades to black. And as the trailer fades to black, one truth remains: Heartland isn't just a story about a ranch or a family. It's about every person who's ever had to rebuild after being broken. It's about finding light in familiar places and realizing that love doesn't disappear. It simply changes form. Episode 6 captures that perfectly, a chapter that feels like both an ending and a beginning. The kind of episode that makes you stop, breathe, and remember why this series still lives deep in people's hearts after so many seasons. As the music swells, you can almost hear the rhythm of hooves echoing across the fields, a sound that has carried this show since the very beginning. Amy's quiet strength, Lou's courage, Jack's wisdom, and Katie's growing fire, all of it weaves together to remind us that family isn't about never falling apart. It's about always finding your way back. Every frame of episode 6 feels honest, warm, and filled with the kind of emotion only Heartland can deliver. The trailer doesn't give away too much, but it gives enough to stir something inside every fan. The ache of nostalgia, the thrill of what's next, and the comfort of coming home, that's what makes this season so special. And with episode 6 just around the corner, the promise of renewal and reconnection feels stronger than ever. Heartland Season 19. Episode 6 premieres this Sunday on CBC. Don't miss it and be ready for an episode that might just stay with you long after it ends. If you love Heartland as much as we do, hit the like button, Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more updates, theories, and emotional moments from the world of Heartland.